You never think your life will fall apart while you're standing in the kitchen holding a coffee mug. But that's exactly where I was, on the cold floor, crying over something that once made me smile every day. Funny how joy can turn into sorrow without warning. And for me, the story started not when I lost my husband, but when I realized something even harder. The person who really saw me, who truly understood me, wasn't the man I had married. It was his brother. My name is Rachel Morgan. And 3 years ago, everything changed. Daniel, my husband, left for a business trip overseas. He said he'd be gone for 2 weeks. He kissed my forehead, packed a suitcase, and told me not to worry. But he never came back. There were no phone calls, no late-night video chats, no airport arrival hugs. Just one email. A plain, cold message. I won't be returning. I need space. Please don't try to find me. That was it. 12 years of marriage, gone in 5 sentences. I sat at the kitchen table staring at that screen for hours, waiting for something more. An explanation. A goodbye. Anything. But nothing else came. First, I felt numb, like someone had turned off the world around me. Then came the anger. I threw plates. I screamed into pillows. And finally came the silence. The deep, aching grief that doesn't let go. I stopped living. I stopped cooking. I stopped playing the piano. Even the sunniest corners of our house felt heavy with shadows. I barely left the bedroom. It was like I had disappeared too. And then, just a week later, Jason showed up. He was Daniel's younger brother. Quieter. Kinder. He didn't ring the bell or call first. He just knocked once and stood there holding a bag of groceries. When I opened the door, he looked into my eyes and asked softly, "Need help?" I didn't have the energy to say no. So I let him in. He made coffee. Fixed the leaky kitchen faucet Daniel had promised to get to for months. He even took out the trash without asking. He didn't talk much, but I felt like he was saying everything I needed to hear just by being there. Steady. Calm. Gentle. Jason was nothing like Daniel. Daniel loved being the center of attention, always laughing loud, telling stories at every dinner. Jason, on the other hand, found comfort in quiet moments. He didn't need to fill the silence. He respected it. And in those days when I barely had the strength to speak, that made all the difference. He came by every day after that. Sometimes with fresh bread or soup. Sometimes just to fix a door that wouldn't shut properly. And often just to sit with me. No pressure. No judgment. Just company. He'd sit beside me on the couch while I stared out the window, or let me cry until I couldn't anymore. One night, after a particularly hard day, I stepped onto the porch wrapped in my robe. The stars were out. The air was cold but clear. I held a glass of wine, letting it warm my fingers, and just sat there, breathing. Jason joined me quietly. We didn't talk for a long while. Finally, I turned to him and asked, "Why are you doing all this, Jason? You don't have to fix my life." He looked at me for a long moment, then answered, "I'm not here to fix you. I'm here because I care." And just like that, something shifted inside me. That night, for the first time in months, I didn't feel so alone. The days turned to weeks. I started cooking again, small things at first, just enough for two. I played the piano in the evenings, even if it was only for a few minutes. I began to laugh again, quietly at first, at Jason's dry, surprising sense of humor. He never tried to be Daniel. He never even mentioned him unless I brought it up. He simply stayed, patient, present. And slowly, the space between us grew smaller. It was in the little things. The way his hand would brush against mine when we passed each other in the hallway. How he always left the porch light on for me, even when I hadn't asked. How his eyes lingered when I laughed. There was a softness to it, a quiet tension that wrapped around us like a thread. One night, after dinner, I was washing dishes. Jason came up behind me and started drying the plate I had just rinsed. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. It felt like we'd done it 1,000 times before. Without turning, I whispered, "Don't go yet. Just stay a little longer." He paused. Then he nodded. "Okay." We sat in the living room after that, a movie playing in the background. I couldn't tell you what it was. My head rested on his shoulder. The credits rolled. I whispered again. Don't stop being here, Jason. I need you. His reply was soft, steady. I won't. From then on, something bloomed. We didn't say it aloud. We didn't have to. Every look, every touch, every quiet evening spoke volumes. We were falling into something neither of us had planned. And yet it felt like it had been waiting for us all along. Months passed. One rainy afternoon, I was in the attic, looking for an old photo album, when I stumbled upon a box of Daniel's things. Inside, I found a letter.
It was addressed to me.
His handwriting was unmistakable. My hands trembled as I opened it. In that letter, Daniel wrote that he had left because he believed I had stopped loving him. He said he couldn't bear to watch my eyes light up more for someone else than they ever did for him. He mentioned Jason. He said he saw the way Jason looked at me, even on our wedding day. The words hit like thunder. I sat with that letter for hours, just staring. Was it true? Had I loved Jason even then and never known it? Or had my heart simply found its way back to someone who stayed when everything else fell apart? That evening, I handed the letter to Jason. How long have you felt this way? I asked. He didn't flinch, didn't look away. Since the day you walked down the aisle, he said. But I buried it, because you were his. I never wanted to come between you. But after he left, I saw how much you were hurting. I didn't come to replace him. I came because I couldn't watch you go through that alone. I stood there, heart aching, and whispered the only words I could manage. I begged you not to stop, and you didn't. Then I stepped into his arms. He held me like I was something precious, like he had always known how to hold me. That was 3 years ago. Jason never stopped showing up, never stopped fixing leaky faucets, never stopped leaving the porch light on, never stopped loving me in that quiet, steady way only he knew how. We didn't build our life on the ashes of what I lost. We built it on hope, on patience, on second chances, on healing. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with fireworks or music or rose petals. Sometimes it walks in softly, brings coffee, fixes the sink, waits quietly in the silence. And if we're lucky, it stays when we whisper through broken tears. Don't stop. And it never does.